You, watching this right now, tell me, what does the word Hypixel mean to you? Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's good minigames, maybe it's friends or rivals you made along the way. For me, really, it's all those things that could be combined by the word history. I've made a lot of great, long-lasting friends during my time on the server, and I made them while playing some of the best minigames out there. Hypixel wasn't just a part of my routine or a part of my gaming career. It was something more. For a while, it was a part of my life. And I'm sure that for a lot of you, it's actually the same. It was a part of your life as well. Which is why it's infinitely more painful seeing the server tear itself apart, bleeding its player count day by day. From 160,000 to 80 to 60, 40, 20,000. And it all took them less than a year. How did a server seemingly so perfect in every way practically destroy itself from the inside out? What led to this and what awaits this household name in the Minecraft community? You will find out the answer to all those questions in a moment, but for now, I'm your host IGN Devi, and this is the end. The end of Hypixel. By the way, this video took a lot of effort to make, so if you could subscribe, it would mean the world to me. Thank you. The story begins somewhere in 2012 with a man whose name is Simon Collins LaFlame. I probably butchered that, I'm sorry. Who is more well known online as the man, the myth, the legend, Hypixel. Originally, he wasn't actually a server owner, he was just a simple map creator. He created his YouTube channel on June 14th, 2012 to showcase different maps and other cool things he's made in Minecraft. Fast forward a bit less than a year, and on April 14th, 2013, Hypixel founded the Hypixel Network, becoming its CEO and namesake. Originally, believe it or not, it wasn't actually a server meant for minigames. It was a server meant for players to play on maps that Hypixel and Rezus made together, and the minigames were added as sort of a buffer, something that the people could mess around with while they wait for other players to join. But as the server grew in popularity, so did those minigames. So the Hypixel Network shifted focus from map making to minigames. After that, I honestly think it's a story that everyone knows perfectly well. Ever since then, the server continued growing from 20 to 30 to 40, even 60,000 players. The Hypixel Network continued adding new minigames and features. Slowly but surely, they even managed to knock Mineplex off their throne of being the most popular server in the world. It was really like a dream, a story that was way too perfect. Hypixel kept growing its player count and it didn't seem like it was gonna stop anytime soon, or ever really. But then in 2020, the server took a turn. They took a risk that in the short term seemed like an absolute godsend, but in the long term practically put Hypixel in the grave. Hypixel released their own iteration of Skyblock. Skyblock in itself, apart from the Hypixel Network, was also a really big part of my life. If you've been on this channel for long enough, you probably know that I made like 100 videos on Skyblock, and it pretty much kickstarted my YouTube career. At first, Skyblock was a very simple, bare bones MMORPG that reeled people in with its simplicity and originality. It was like a more newcomer-friendly version of Minecraft. It grew in popularity stupidly fast, quickly skyrocketing over 50,000 concurrent players, which helped Hypixel consistently hold up around 100,000 concurrent players on the whole network. And it just seemed like Hypixel managed to prove yet again that they're the best of the best. Nobody could top them even if they tried at this point. And even though from the outside Skyblock seemed like it was absolutely perfect for the Hypixel network, internally it started causing some problems. First, the updates. You have to understand that Skyblock is no small game. It has a lot of super small intricacies that you have to keep in mind when updating the game. And with the minigame growing in popularity really fast, Hypixel decided to allocate more power to releasing updates for Skyblock. Now, you might ask, why is that a bad thing? Well, let me tell you why. Now, since there is more power working on updates for Skyblock, there isn't really anybody working on updates for other minigames on the server. In the time period from 2020 to 2021, no other games besides, of course, Skyblock got any content practically. And you have to understand that Skyblock only makes up like 50 or 60% of Hypixel. Granted, that is a lot, but it's not 100%. And now that all the other games weren't really receiving new content, people that didn't succumb to the hole that is Skyblock started dropping off because their favorite minigames were simply not receiving new content. Second, performance issues.
So Hypixel just released a new floor for Skyblock Dungeons, and that's just terrifying. You gotta understand how terrifying that is for me, a person who doesn't really main Skyblock, because right now 40,000 people are gonna join and start playing at the same time, and the server is just gonna get annihilated.
Again, Skyblock, no small game. And Hypixel servers were simply not prepared for the amount of pressure that Skyblock would bring onto them. Hypixel constantly started having crashes, performance issues, queues started forming on the server. Whenever a Skyblock update would drop, people would fucking flock to the server because, ooh, I want to get the best item, best new item, really fast, now. And Hypixel servers couldn't handle that amount of pressure, so the server became practically unplayable during those times. And that caused another hit to Hypixel's player count. Third, the Skyblock player base is absolutely fucked to the head, and I mean it, honestly. If you didn't know, Skyblock has an auction house and a bazaar. Those are both places where people can buy and sell items, and there are also trading features in Skyblock, where people could interchange and exchange items between each other. And all of that is obviously run by the community itself, and with features like that, you're quickly gonna have your own economy forming, like in CSGO for example. And I think we all know well that if there is an economy, there are gonna be people who try to cheat it in any way possible. Hypixel saw a huge influx of scammers, people who use exploits, and most importantly IRL traders joining the server. People started losing profiles left and right, including me, and this quickly earned the Hypixel Network a bad reputation, which also caused some people to leave. Fourth, as weird as it might be to say, I think Hypixel kinda burned out after making Skyblock. We saw at least 3 new game releases post Skyblock, and all of them were excruciatingly bad to the point that one of the games could only hold up 4 or 5 concurrent players on a server with almost 100,000 concurrent players. Not 4 or 5,000, 4 or 5 players at a time, that's it. It got so bad to the point where that game literally had to get fully removed. And the other 2 games from that period that still remain aren't really any better. First, they don't pull in any numbers at all. It's like 50 or 100 concurrent players. And 2, it's just copies of other games from other servers, those being Block Party and Wool Wars. And for a server with as much street cred as Hypixel, that's a really bad look. That dealt another hit to Hypixel's reputation and in turn to their player count. And fifth, Skyblock itself took a turn in the wrong direction. You see, admins were heavily targeting the late game. That's where all the content creators were, all the influential and big players, and that's where the most interesting content was. So it just seemed like the logical reason to keep expanding the late game. But because of that, the late game quickly got way too overly complicated even for the late game players themselves, and the early game wasn't receiving any new content. I mean, what's the last early game content update you could name in Skyblock? The Weaponsmith? That was like a year ago, maybe even more. And that's where Skyblock kinda hit a roadblock, it kinda soft-locked itself. The early game, meaning the game itself, wasn't receiving any new players coming in because of the lack of the early game content. People simply got bored fast when they first joined Skyblock. And the late game got way too hard and overly complicated, grindy as well, which caused a lot of the late game consistent players to drop off, including me. And that made Skyblock's player count quickly trickle down from 50 to 40 to 20 and now somewhere around 10,000 concurrent players. And you might say, Devi, is that it? Is Skyblock really the sole reason that Hypixel is now failing? Oh no. We haven't even seen half of it yet, we're just starting out. So get ready for Hypixel's next sin, the mod LAYOFF. On March 14th, 2021, Hypixel community manager Frozen posted on the official Hypixel forums. And he said this: the Game Master position is the next step beyond the current moderator rank. Those given this rank will be going above and beyond the current moderation task to deliver extraordinary work in order to have an even bigger impact on the day-to-day player experience, to better serve our players. That has been and always will be our goal, and through the Game Master position we expect to take our moderation efforts to the next level in order to accomplish that goal. The management team is extremely excited to see this position come to fruition, as it has been in the works for quite a long time. We hope that you are equally as excited as we are. And don't get me wrong, that sounds awesome on paper. But what Frozen didn't tell you is, with the release of the new Game Master position, a lot of the old beloved moderators, such as for example Sir Cow, got laid off.
Look, Sir Cow's Sir Cow's just staring.
Now, don't get me wrong, there wasn't any bad blood between the network and the moderators who were booted from the staff team. They all left on friendly terms and they were all fine with it. But that's not what the issue is here. The issue is the volume of the moderators got smaller, meaning there are less people to actually moderate the server. So after the mod layoff, the server saw a big influx of cheaters and hackers, which again made a lot of people leave the server. But Hypixel decided not to stop there with its terrible decisions, and so we move on to Hypixel's next sin, the monetization. Hypixel has always had cosmetics you could buy, and don't get me wrong, I love those cosmetics. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. They're implemented well, they don't affect the gameplay, they're not really shoved down your throat, and the only reason you'd ever buy them is to support the server and the developers, which is good monetization. But then, seemingly out of a need to pay for better hosting or something, Hypixel decided to monetize Skyblock, and not in the way that you'd expect. Hypixel added booster cookies and Skyblock gems. Now, let me explain what those are. A booster cookie is a special item that gives you temporary power-ups, the ability to gain a premium currency, the ability to access the bazaar and the auction house from anywhere on the Skyblock map, the ability to manage your potion effects, and a lot of other cool stuff. And to get that booster cookie, you had to pay Skyblock gems. Skyblock gems are something you would see either in a shitty Roblox simulator or something from a mobile game, meaning it's a currency that you had to pay real life dollars, pesos, money for. And those Skyblock gems would either speed up profile and island upgrades, some upgrades were even paywalled behind Skyblock gems, which is always a bad look, or that you would use to buy special items, such as, well, booster cookies. 675 gems would cost you $5. Meaning a single booster cookie is just a bit under $2.5 in price. Now, this kind of monetization is bad enough. Nobody really likes pay to win, especially when there's paywalled content. But the next point I'm gonna bring up is where it gets really bad. You could sell booster cookies on the bazaar for Skyblock Gold. Yup, you heard me right. You can now legally convert real life money into Skyblock Gold per Hypixel TOS. And back then, during the IRL training days, that was a bannable offense. You would get a permanent ban for that. And now it's legalized by Hypixel themselves. Granted, their rates are better than the ones that were on eBay, but still, I think you can see why that's a bad look for the server as a whole. And with that hit to Hypixel's reputation, more people left. But it wasn't just the regular players that were leaving Hypixel. And so we move on to the next reason the network is currently failing, the YouTuber fallout. Hypixel, all the way back from its rise to the top in 2016, was a hub for all sorts of Minecraft celebrities, content creators, and other influential people. Content creators like Finster, or Tapel, or Technoblade, may you rest in peace. They were all really huge parts of the Hypixel community and history. But if you look at those content creators' channels now, they either 1. Don't upload completely, or 2. Upload things that aren't related to Hypixel anymore. For example, Finster. He now records videos on his own server, MC Hub, and that seems to be doing pretty well for him. The only YouTubers that are left on Hypixel now are either shitty Skyblock YouTubers or niche Bedwars YouTubers, but they aren't really bringing in the traffic like the people I mentioned were. And now you might ask, was that traffic really that big, and was the hit from the YouTubers leaving really that large? Answer, yes. Remember the Dante event in Skyblock? That was when Hypixel achieved the current Guinness World Record for the most concurrent players on a Minecraft server at a time. It was almost 250,000 players. Just imagine how huge of a number that is. And why did Hypixel achieve that number? Technoblade. Technoblade was the main focus of the event. He was on the peak of his popularity during that time, and people wanted to join the server to play with him, take part in his event, and see what his role would be.
I am Dante and the world quakes beneath me. You had a choice and you chose death.
And now, with all of the big Hypixel YouTubers gone, that traffic is simply not there anymore. But some content creators weren't content with just quitting Hypixel. No. Some of them decided it was time to put the final nail in Hypixel's coffin. And so, competing servers started popping up. Let's be fair, it was really only a matter of time before quality minigame servers that were there to contest Hypixel for the crown of the biggest Minecraft server of all time started popping up. But it was only when 2022 rolled around they actually started appearing, and they actually started posing a real threat to Hypixel. An example a lot of people like to bring up is Tubnet, a server that was founded by famous Minecraft streamer Tubbo. Of course, the server is still in really early development stages, and its anti-cheat is, well,
Ladies and gents and dreamsexuals, I hereby present to you the Tubnet anti-cheat, non-existent.
Yikes, but it's still something, alright? MC Hub also exists and is gaining popularity, if only they could afford better hosting. MCC Islands is also a thing. I heard a lot about it, but I've never really seen it myself, so I don't know a lot about it. But I guess it's also a thing since people talk about it. Manicube and Minehut surprisingly still exist, and they're still pulling in numbers. Hypixel players are still migrating from Hypixel to those servers. By the way, can we make a quick detour and talk about Mineplex's player count? They used to have like, what, 40,000 concurrent players? Now they're at 300? Sad sight, anyways. Winecraft also exists. It's absolutely amazing and it's still growing in popularity. Its player count is already over 2,000 people. And compared to Hypixel's 20 or 40,000 concurrent players, you might say that's not a lot. But if you look at it from the angle of the gap between Winecraft and Hypixel used to be 100 times as large, and now it's only 10 times as large, you start realizing that Hypixel isn't really the undefeatable Titan server it was once.
Hey man, just watch the video you sent me. I feel like there's just not enough to put Hypixel in the grave.
What do you mean?
Well, there just has to be something more, you know, like something strong is like really mess Hypixel up, you know?
I mean, what more can I do?
I think I have an idea. Just play this audio file.
Hey, what's poppin'? Yeah. Thanks for watching on the way up to this part of the video. Honestly, that
Let me talk
means
to
a lot
him.
to me.
I'm finna fuck it
Time to
up.
put the surfer in the grave, yeah.
Let me show some style, baby. Whoa. Let's go. Hey, let me talk to him. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking what's up with today's that fucked themselves up with Skyblock's release. Yeah, you overtook matters right now on your way to join them in.
Okay.
But looking at the numbers and about it all wine. How you gonna pump a game that just die? Content creatively fleeing this shit, yeah. I've seen it all cause I'm one of them, bitch. Six of this layers, defend the congregation. Watch out for complex, you ain't domination. You're a road runner, you hit a roadblock. All of your players are moving to Roblox. Where are YouTubers? Man, they all sire. It serves like a pussy that's been fucked 100 times. Bitchy on burnout, that shit contagious. Top line be making you shake, that's outrageous. Suck traffic from techno, you pick that by words like bitch, that shit mental. You fall off expected, trying to go hard, but what's gonna dead it? What you gonna do to me for my boss? See me like minus, I stream shopping hours, we sick of the writing and sick of the hacking shit, bitch, you be fun and I log up all script that thing. Show all the players in your most prized games, you 22, round up is you in the grave. You ain't the top anymore, just accept it. We don't need bad words, map, we need some answers.
Talk to them.
Two rock our facers, super smash heroes, spending workforce on some shit that's fictitious. They call me Kodra cause I'm sitting fires, servers that's fine and it's time to say bye.
Bam.
See ya. Yeah. See ya, bitch,
As much as I am a fan of Hypixel, I think I have to admit that it's ran its course. It's been on the top for long enough, but now it's time for it to go. and it's time for all the big community figures and the players to move on to newer, better, and bigger things. There is a lot of new stuff out there waiting for us to explore it, but to get that new stuff, we have to let the old things go. We can't keep holding on to the past. So if you're an avid Hypixel player who's also unhappy with the network's decisions like I am, I think you should make the right choice and let Hypixel die peacefully, because it's the end of Hypixel. I was your host IGN Devi, and thank you for watching.